we were basically tasked to measure the impact that journalism has on people on a day-to-day basis, and we found like kind of like a creative way to do that, right?
Right. So instead of just directly asking them in like the form of a survey how they feel about, news and how, they measure their news consumption, we decided to take this a little bit differently. And inspired by, where we're from in Miami, we decided to, instead of, like just answering questions, we wanted to see how they could express that visually in like a drawing. So we created the News League project.
Okay. So one of the things that we did, we just wanted to test people's creativities. So we wanted to know how people, read and analyze their local news. So one of the ways that the way that we did it was we had people draw it for us, basically, draw out how the news makes them feel.
Right. And we had them answer these questions. For example, we had them, first of all, draw in black their preferred way of keeping up with the news, whether it was either for a newspaper, social media, radio, or TV, or all of the above. We also had them in the background, color in specific colors depending on their answer. For example, we had them paint in red if they kept up with the news often, blue if they read it occasionally, and yellow if not at all. We also had them answer how it made them feel, whether it made them feel cautious or nervous, made them feel secure or indifferent. We had them, do that in the form of like zigzags or softer waves or even like a line. And because, it's not just one emotion that we feel while keeping up with the news, we let them use multiple. And at last, we wanted to see their own creativity, so we let them freestyle in the background and, just kind of draw their own pattern and how, their own perception of how they feel about the news. We were mostly inspired by how the city of Miami, especially Wynwood, it's now known as this, this cultural nightlife neighborhood. But it used to be before a neighborhood like any other that housed the immigrant population in the 1920s. They all worked in the warehouses because that was all that was, right? Later on, when a very big hurricane hit and destroyed their homes, they were forced to flee. But back in 2007, when Miami Beach was hosting Art Basel and they were bringing in a bunch of tourists, they decided to, you know, my take to the streets of Wynwood and just, spray their graffiti and, just to showcase that gallery artists and street artists are just one and the same. They're all art and, nothing should be able to, interpret them differently. They both share a message, right?
So these are some of the results that we came up with when, well, actually, first,
That's us.
that's us out in the streets. We built like a really big banner showcasing all the instructions on what they were supposed to do with the drawings. We can see there's already somebody participating. And we had a really good time doing this because we got to really see exactly how certain people felt about the news, about their local news. We got varying results. It wasn't all just mistrust or it wasn't all just full trust. It was a little bit in the center as well. And these are some of the results that we came up with as well. As you can see, it is a little bit all over the place. And I think it's actually a really good representation of how people do feel about the news today. Just because, well, there's obviously a lot of mistrust within the news today. And, these drawings represent them in a good way. There's one drawing there all the way on the right that just says, "ah." And I don't know, I thought that was a really cool way of demonstrating how you feel about the news. But yeah.
Right, that was one of our favorites. And in fact, to add, you can see that almost all of these drawings and all of the drawings that we received all have, like the zigzags that we kind of told them that describes them feeling like uneasy. And they were able to describe them for us. And they were just saying that, well, we feel a little bit uneasy based on, like what the newsrooms are choosing to represent. Like they're telling us about these climate change, like impacts that are, like negatively impacting our, like livelihoods. We also have, dangerous situations around us, and, it makes them feel a little bit nervous. But one of them even said that even because of that, like, you go outside and, everything is okay. So, we kind of, it's like when he was talking about that there's like this middle, it's basically that, like they feel like very nervous just kind of like turning on the news and just, getting fed all of these bad news pretty much. And which was similar to what was happening during COVID. And everybody was being told of like how many people were dying while they were in their apartments and houses and all that stuff. But, as you can see, now that's changed and now people are, moving outside. So their emotions are, like going, they're kind of shooting upwards, right? And, we were tasked to do a mural. Unfortunately, we didn't get the time to do all of that, but this is what it would have looked like. And, we have right here, like how this represents how South Florida analyzes their local news. And, as he said, it's all over the place, but it is a perfect demonstration of how, the news feels to people, right? And if you scan the QR code, hopefully you can, you'll see the instructions right there as well. And if you'd like to participate, you're more than welcome to. Right about down below, there's one of our emails, and you can send them our way. And we would have wanted to, just have these in like the Wynwood area, just, to as a homage to, the environment where we are from and where we like to spend our time. And, graffiti is beautiful and I love graffiti. So, yeah.
So, although we only really worked in the South Florida area, we can envision murals nationwide spreading the results and our message throughout the country. Because, well, one of the things that we definitely learned throughout the drawings was that, there was varying responses, but the one that kind of won out the most was the one that there is a certain mistrust within the media. A lot of people feel as though the news that they're being fed is just kind of in a way either propaganda or it's just trying to spread an agenda, whether it be on both sides, whatever political side that you associate yourself with. I think the most important thing that we need to get back to as a nation, not just in Miami, because we see it as a problem in Miami as well, but that we need to get back to as a nation is just to spread news that's bipartisan and that's for the safety of everybody. Because a lot of people, when there's a mistrust of the news that you're being fed, a lot of people tend to just not turn on the news or just pretend like nothing's going on in the world, and they become somewhat ignorant to some of the things that are actually happening within our world. And it's very important to be caught up on everything that's going on. So
Right.
we hope to spread that message throughout our mural. And yeah.
Yeah, and to add, it's the responsibility of both the newsrooms and the people themselves to be able to trust each other with what's happening, right? Because, we can't, especially us as journalists, we can't just, like just fully depend, like just act like as if people already, trust us. The reality is that most of them don't, and most of them feel uneasy. And we want to be able to appease to them because we're doing this work for them. You know what I mean? And, you know, last but not least, we thank you so much
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
opportunity that you gave us and to be able to make a mural and to be able to participate in a competition like this. We learned a lot and we hope to continue in the future. Thank you so much.